We're back. We are in Euro Truck Simulator 2, and this time I'm bringing you a new guide on the Meta Quest using Steam Link. And in this video I'm going to show you everything you need to know to get your game looking absolutely incredible in virtual reality in 3 easy steps. Let's get straight into it right after this. So this is of course Euro Truck Simulator 2, and in this particular video we're going to be taking a look at how to get your game looking like this on the Quest 3 using Steam Link. And Steam Link is, in case you didn't know, completely free and available from the Meta Horozons store. And again, for those of you who don't know what Steam Link is, it's basically a free version of Virtual Desktop. Now Steam Link has improved massively over the years. I actually did do a previous Steam Link guide that's still actually getting quite a lot of views even now, because people are wanting to of course get American Truck Simulator or Euro Truck Simulator 2 looking incredible. And in this guide I'm going to show you exactly that. But SCS have also made everything super simple now, which is even better, because we don't have to download beta software. We just literally put one line in the advanced settings under Steam configuration, and we then basically launch a game using Steam Link into this. Everything is already pre-configured in the configuration file. You don't have to mess around. You simply use the in-game settings to set everything to match your system specifications really. And in this example I'm of course using an RTX 5090 and a Intel Core Ultra 285K, and I'm able to run it at 300% scaling. But don't let that put you off, because even at 100% scaling, which is going to be suitable for a lot of the lower end systems, this also looks incredible even at 100% scaling. But of course 300% scaling allows you to add extra detail and make it super detailed, as you can see in the far distance here. This is of course the amazing Nordic Horozons DLC, and if I turn my head around slowly, I say slowly because one of the great things about the Quest 3 is the actual inside-out tracking on the Quest 3 is exceptional, but unfortunately in VR recordings it does make it super janky, and I'm trying not to wobble my head around, as you can see here, because otherwise it's super wobbly on screen. So to give you a better viewing experience, I'm trying to be super still while recording this video. You may have also seen my previous video, which was on the Pimax Super, and I've got to say that ETS2 and ATS, if you want the ultimate best experience, then the Pimax Super or the Pimax Crystal Light being direct display port VR headsets are the best way to go with this. But that's not saying that the Meta Quest headsets are not good in themselves. This guide is suitable for the Meta Quest 3, which you can see here. It also will work with the Meta Quest 3S, also the Quest 2, and also the Quest Pro as well, not forgetting that. And even the Pico 4 for those Pico 4 owners out there as well. The same process with Steam Link applies through all. But for the very best experience, you want to be using Wi-Fi 6 or above. And in this example, I'm using an Asus AXE 7800 Wi-Fi 6E router, and of course the Meta Quest will work with Wi-Fi 6E routers. Then it stops there. You can get Wi-Fi 7, but unfortunately you're not going to get any benefits by using Wi-Fi 7 in this particular game. And I actually do have a friend who's also a fellow YouTuber, and he's known as Mac in VR, and he did a really good video on comparing Wi-Fi 6 to Wi-Fi 7, and there's actually really no difference whatsoever in it in virtual reality. So I think Wi-Fi 6 is a really good candidate to get your game working exceptionally over Steam Link, and also Virtual Desktop too. I have to mention that too. Now Virtual Desktop is of course the preferred way of playing on ATS and ETS2, but Steam Link is completely free. And on Virtual Desktop you're going to get a little bit more visual refinement, but this is still hugely playable and looks fantastic. And I'm putting on screen now an actual through the lens shot that I did on a different truck, but also in this particular game, and also on the Quest. As you can see, it looks absolutely exceptional through the actual lens as well, and it's really silky smooth also. So we're going to zoom around and have a look at this, which is a modified truck. This is a Mercedes Actros 6, and before you dismiss it saying that's a hairdryer, it's an electric truck, this is actually the diesel version I'm using here. I've also got to say a huge thank you to Mo Skinner, who's a Steam Workshop modifier, who's also a great friend to the channel, and he's really prevalent on my Discord channel, as well as Paul from Paul's Custom Skins as well. So two fantastic workshop modifiers. We also have some actual modders in there as well, who make some bus and coach modifications for ETS2. So feel free to check out my Discord channel, the link's in the video description, and you can come and join the fun in there too. And if you do need any help with anything, we've got some really experienced guys in there who can help you out. But as you can see, this is absolutely exceptional and looks really, really nice, and this truck is actually surprisingly really, really good as well. So what we're going to do, we're going to dive in and we're going to have a look around inside. We're going to start her up, and first thing you're going to notice is that we have these actual LED mirrors, of course, which you do have obviously in the modern trucks, and I really do like these. I actually think these are absolutely fantastic. We've got a large GPS screen here as well, and we've also got the actual digital dash that has everything on there as well, and it's absolutely exceptional. Everything works and everything is just absolutely fantastic. And I'm just looking around very slowly in the interior, and as you can see, everything is super detailed in this particular modified truck, and I'll leave a link in the video description to this modified truck as well if you do want to get this. But as far as I'm aware, the modifier of this truck isn't actually doing it anymore or updating it, which is a bit of a shame, but it does work in 1.58. Just going to wind the window down a bit so we can hear and show you that this is actually a diesel engine. I'm not lying to you, it's not electric. So I'm going to try and keep my head super still because I'm aware that the actual image on screen is a little bit janky on the Meta Quest, having done a number of actual Quest guides. The other good thing about using Steam Link as well over Virtual Desktop is notoriously difficult to screen capture on the Meta Quest. If you have a Meta Quest, you will know that it's very difficult to actually capture footage from this if you're using OBS or Streamlabs in my example here that I'm using. The game just runs silky smooth using that Wi-Fi 6 connection, and everything is just beautifully detailed. It's a really good, fun experience, and being able to run it at such high settings as well. I'm using over 297 modifications, or actually 297 modifications exactly in this particular video here. Of course, you don't need to, but I'm also using things such as Project Next Gen in this as well. We've got some Project Ultimate Weather in this as well, some other modifications, and of course if you want more details on modifications to use, again, I'll leave the links to my actual Steam Workshop page in the video description. You can simply click on that, and you can also then download directly the same modifications from the Steam Workshop if you wish to. Now of course there are some modifications in use in this video that aren't in the Steam Workshop. We have things like Project Next Gen as already mentioned, but I'm also using other modifications such as Jazzy Cat's AI Traffic Pack, which make the vehicles actually real vehicles, not the fictional vehicles that you normally get in ATS or ETS2. So the great thing about this is as well, don't think you're just limited to Euro Truck Simulator. It's exactly the same process for American Truck Simulator, and it looks absolutely fantastic. Now through the magic of editing, I'm now going to flip over and we're going to have a look at some other weather conditions in the same game. I'm going to show you how amazing this looks with weather conditions enabled too. So there's nothing more immersive than having thunder, lightning and heavy rain effects than when you're in virtual reality. So again, we're back in the same truck, and this time we're setting off from the garage. We've got a different trailer attached this time however, and we're just heading out just to have a short drive around, just to again discuss this amazing Nordic Horozons DLC here. And there really is nothing better than getting into ETS2 or ATS in VR. If you've never tried this before, I have to say that this is just absolutely incredible. And again, I'm just being quite cautious of turning my head around because I know it does appear quite jittery on screen. So of course it's now prompting me to put my wipers on, which I'm going to do, because obviously as you can see on the actual windscreen there, we've got these heavy rain effects, we've got thunder and lightning going on, and you know, this is just absolutely awesome guys, it really is. Another thing as well, just looking out to the right, just so you can see, we've got the amazing sort of lake there to the right hand side, and this is silky smooth, absolutely silky smooth. It's an amazing experience, and again with 300% scaling, Virtual Desktop doing an absolutely fantastic experience here of, you know, keeping things running really nice and smooth. Now remember, I've just got to say again finally that this has to really be run to get a smooth experience on a Wi-Fi 6E router or a Wi-Fi 6 router. Wi-Fi 5G routers are just not unfortunately going to be adequate enough to push the actual bandwidth enough to get it running smoothly like this. So as you can see, great weather effects, fantastic particles on the windscreen here, also replicated on the actual left and right hand screens just there, and it's just an absolutely amazing experience. So without any further ado, let's get straight into the guide. Let's show you how to set this up and get this running on your system too. So this is going to be a really quick and easy way to get Euro Truck Simulator 2 or American Truck Simulator up and running using Steam Link. Steam Link is a free application, and in the next stage I'll show you how to download that from a Meta Horozons store and how to get that up and running on your Meta Quest device. But the first thing we need to do is we need to ensure that we have Euro Truck Simulator or American Truck Simulator set up correctly. To do that, we open up our Steam homepage, and you can see here we have both American Truck Simulator and also Euro Truck Simulator 2. In this video we're going to be concentrating purely on Euro Truck Simulator 2. Once we select the game from the left hand side on the Steam homepage, we download it as normal. We don't need to download any beta software anymore. We simply launch the game using one simple command, and I'll show you how to do that. Select the game from the left hand side. We then need to move over to the right hand side, and you'll see there is a cog icon which is labeled as Manage. We then simply select the cog icon, and then we select Properties. Once we've got our general properties box open, you'll see on the left hand side at the top here, we have Euro Truck Simulator 2 selected. However, if you want to use American Truck Simulator, exactly the same process applies to both games. Previously, to launch the game in virtual reality, you would have to download a piece of separate software. If you look on the left hand side here, you will see game versions and betas, and you will see that the Oculus plus OpenVR plus openxr software is still in here. You can still launch the game in virtual reality by using this method, but there is a far easier and new method to launch the game in VR, which also enables you to flip between both flat screen and also virtual reality mode easily. Clicking back onto the General tab at the top left hand side here, and if you look under the selected launch options, we always will launch the game using DirectX 11 64-bit mode. But there is now a new experimental_VR launch command in here, which enables us to launch a game directly without having to use the actual Oculus OpenVR and openxr plugin, which makes it really easy to flip between both flat screen and virtual reality. One of the big frustrations for many people of using it in virtual reality was if they wanted to play it in flat screen again, they would have to go back to this and then download the default public version again, and also make changes to the configuration file, which became very frustrating and very tiresome. But now, if you want to play the game in flat screen, you simply do not launch Steam VR. It will simply open automatically in flat screen mode. You just simply need to make the necessary changes within the game graphics settings. The other good thing about the experimental launch command as well is it actually does set some of the most default configuration file settings automatically, so we also don't need to do anything in there either. We can still make necessary tweaks in there if we need to. For example, the actual buffer scale is set at 1.5 automatically now, which can be quite high for some users, but generally it works really well on a multitude of systems now. We can actually adjust the actual rendering aspects by the in-game graphical settings, and I'll show you how to do that. I will leave the experimental launch commands in the actual video description. All you have to do is simply copy and paste those into here, and we are then ready to launch a game in virtual reality once we have Steam Link enabled. So we now need to set our in-game graphical settings. We can now do this quite easily by simply launching the game as normal, but we have Steam VR closed. If we have Steam VR open, then it will launch to a black screen because there is no reprojection anymore. We can simply then see what's going on in virtual reality within the headset itself. If we have Steam VR closed, the game will launch as normal. The great thing about this is if you want to play in flat screen mode, you don't have to keep downloading beta software and vice versa anymore. You can simply just have Steam VR closed and the game will launch as normal. And accordingly, you will then set your in-game graphical settings dependent on whether you're playing in flat screen or virtual reality. So in this instance, we're setting the actual VR settings. To bring this menu up, you would simply go to Graphics, and you would then simply select Show Advanced Settings. First of all, at the top here we have the resolution. I have it set to 2560 by 1440. It's pretty irrelevant what we actually have in here. I have it set this way for screen capture purposes only. However, for the actual VR settings, we would actually see a black screen on our monitor because there is no reprojection or mirroring. The config file settings automatically will set it that way, and that then saves on performance rendering for the actual main monitor screen. In refresh rate, we have it set to 100 Hz, which is as close to a 90 Hz refresh rate as we get on the actual MetaQuest device. If you look at the options, the closest we can get to that 90 Hz is 100 Hz, which is fine. We set an FPS limit at 89, which is one below the 90 Hz. We set an FPS limit in the background. I've set it to 99, but again, it's pretty irrelevant what we have in here. It's just for the actual main menus. The most important option is the actual scaling. Now, this purely will depend on your PC specification. So I'm running an RTX 5090 and an Intel Core Ultra 285K, and I'm showing my PC specifications on screen here. But if you have a lower spec system, go down to 100% and the game still looks fantastic within that environment. But of course, if you have a powerful PC, you can then push it up to perhaps even 200% or even 300%. If you push it up to 300%, it looks almost like a desktop type experience within the actual headset. Anti-aliasing we have disabled, and we're going to use a Snowymoon temporal anti-aliasing modification. I'll show you how to install that next in a moment. Moving down to textures, I have textures quality set to high. I have anisotropic filtering set to 16 multiplier. We have normal maps enabled. We have reflection scaling set here to 100%. Again, this is purely based on system specification. You can set it higher if you have the graphical capabilities on your PC to do so, or you can have it set to lower or disabled fully if you obviously want to use that option, depending on obviously how performance aspects are working within your particular system setup. Reflection detail I have personally set to high, and again you can change this down to medium or low depending on your PC specification. Mirror quality and mirror resolution I have set both to medium, and as you saw from a demonstration in gameplay earlier, it looks absolutely fantastic and is completely adequate at that level. There's no need to exceed that level at all in gameplay. Mirror distance I have set to high. This is a personal preference. Again, I prefer to be able to see quite a long distance back in the actual mirrors as demonstrated on the image on the right hand side here. Shadow quality I have set to high. I have far shadows and interior shadows disabled, and again these both have a moderate impact on performance. Again, you can obviously utilize your discretion as to whether you knock any of these settings down in this section here. The biggest impact on virtual reality is the screen space ambient occlusion option. It's imperative that you have this disabled, otherwise it's going to have a massive impact. Despite it saying it only has a moderate impact on the right hand side, in VR this is one of the biggest impacts in performance. In terms of lighting, I have lighting visibility ranges set to high, but again, if you're struggling with performance, it states on the right hand side here, as you can see, has a moderate impact on performance, but again, in virtual reality, this does have quite a high bearing as well. And again, these two options here, again, if you are struggling with performance, again, you can have these disabled. For me personally, as a preference, I prefer to see both these options enabled. Depth of field, because we're playing in virtual reality, is irrelevant. It does make an artificial blurring in the distance, but it makes absolutely no bearing whatsoever from the environment you see in VR. Sun shafts I have set to enabled. Again, this is a personal preference and I think it looks really nice within the game, but again, if you are struggling with performance, then you may want to disable this option. And then finally, we've got two options here. So we've got vegetation detail and grass density, both are set to high. And we have weather quality, which here is set to custom. Now, custom is actually one beyond ultra, and that has actually been set by the actual Snowymoon temporal anti-aliasing modification. So if you wish, once again, you can knock this down to high, but I'm going to keep it here on ultra. It will automatically default to custom when we actually install the Snowymoon temporal anti-aliasing. And again, pedestrians is something you may want or to have enabled or may not want to have enabled. For me personally, I just have it enabled as a preference. Once you're happy with everything, we then need to finally click on apply. So next up, we're going to be installing the Snowymoon temporal anti-aliasing modification, and what this does is it reduces any flickering or jagged edges that you may see in virtual reality. Even though SCS have improved their own version of TAA recently in the last two updates, the Snowymoon is still far superior to using virtual reality. Head over to the Snowymoon website, the link is in the video description, and once you are here, you will see this page. There are two distinct versions of Snowymoon. One is a lighting improvements modification, which is suitable for use in non-virtual reality mode. And you'll see in other videos that I've done guides on installing this and using this, and it does work particularly well. But unfortunately, in virtual reality, the performance impact is so great, up to 30 FPS in some examples, but it's certainly not worth using at this stage. The one we're interested in is this one here, which is a free temporal anti-aliasing version 10. We simply need to select this, and you can see that it is supported in VR mode, which is obviously what we are interested in. And the version that we are interested in is using the 10.232, which as of the time of recording this video is the most up-to-date version of it and still remains the one that's been prevalent for some time now. To download it, simply click on download. It will install the file, and I'll show you how to install that within the game itself. So once we've downloaded the Snowymoon temporal anti-aliasing file, you can see here that we then need to extract it. You can see that I've extracted it to a new folder, and once we've opened the folder, you can see contained within we have 3 files here. So what we then need to do is we need to go over to our roots of our PC. As you can see, I have American Truck Simulator and Euro Truck Simulator 2 installed on the C drive on my particular PC, but the location may vary based upon your PC. We then need to drill down and we need to locate the actual bin folder within our game file. To do this, I'm going to show you the routes that I have on my PC, but remember it may be on a different drive on yours. We click on the actual installation drive, and then we then click on Program Files x86, and then we then need to go down to Steam. And then we then need to head over to Steam Apps and then to Common. And then you can see here that we have American Truck Simulator and also Euro Truck Simulator 2 here. We're going to look at Euro Truck Simulator 2 in this example, but exactly the same process applies to American Truck Simulator as well. When we drill down into Euro Truck Simulator 2, you can see what we have here, a list of files. Lots of these are DLCs and various other things as part of the actual base game, but the one we are interested in is the actual bin folder. Click on bin, and then we then need to head over to the WinX64, and you can see here that then the actual root file of our main game directory appears, and you can see that because we have the actual application of Euro Truck Simulator 2 just here. We then need to highlight these 2 files, which is dinput8.dll and the dxgi.dll, and we simply drag those and we drop those into our actual root game folder. Once that's done, we then need to head over back into the game, and we need to make sure that it's now activated. So finally, we need to check that the Snowymoon temporal anti-aliasing modification has been installed correctly. To do that, we launch back into the game in the main menu. We then simply press on the end button on our keyboard. You can see here that the version 10 has now been installed correctly. The settings that I use are the temporal anti-aliasing clarity, which is a setting just here. I have FXAA disabled, I have the TAA level set to 1, sharpness set to 2, sharpen edges set to 4. I have motion blur disabled in virtual reality. I have a simple color preset disabled. Brightness is set to 0, and then that is it. We can then simply then move on. We can launch Steam Link. We can then simply launch a game through Steam Link, as you can see here, and then within moments we are then into the game and we are playing in glorious virtual reality. We need to install the Steam Link application onto our MetaQuest headset, and to do that we head over to the Meta Horozons store, and as you can see we've got it up here. We then need to search for Steam Link in the top search bar here. Once we then search Steam Link, you'll see that the option appears for Steam Link, and then the Steam Link application will appear here. You can see I already have it installed, so it's prompting me to launch the Steam Link application. For you, it would be to simply install or obtain it using the link here, and then you then need to then simply launch it in the actual headset itself, which I'll show you now. And then the final step is super easy. You need to have Steam open on your PC, and you need to launch the Steam Link application in the MetaQuest headset. As you can see here, we then need to launch the application. You see, press connect, and then once you've connected to the PC, you will then see everything in virtual reality within the MetaQuest headset. Simply then click on the Euro Truck Simulator 2 or American Truck Simulator application, press play, and then within moments you'll be then launched into the game, and you'll be playing in glorious virtual reality. So there we have it. It really is as simple as that to launch ATS or ETS2 in virtual reality using Steam Link. Now, of course, virtual desktop is another option that's available, and I'll leave a link at the end of this video so you can also check out my previous guide using virtual desktop, and that will be due to be updated soon too. Now, a like and subscribe is always welcome, and if you want any further assistance, feel free to join my Discord channel. There are links in the video description. We've got a number of helpful users in there, including some famous workshop modifiers, Mo Skinner, and also Paulie from Paulie's Custom Skins. And again, there are links in the video description to their channels. Also, feel free to join their YouTube channels and check their videos out too. Until next time, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.